Shabbat Shalom. A short idea about Parashat Vayigash. Parashat Vayigash telling us the story how Yosef, in the end of the big and long story, after the brothers coming and he's sending them back and then coming again with Binyamin, in the end Yosef revealing himself to the brothers. When Yosef revealing himself to the brothers and he meeting them as Yosef, not as the king of Mitzrayim, he is hugging Binyamin. And our sages telling us that that moment was very, very special, very, very unique. From that moment, as we know, the brothers realized that they moving to Egypt. Jewish people moved from Israel, Canaan, to the land of Egypt, and then Jewish people become in exile, we can call it. Before they become nation, the birth of the nation was outside Israel, and that was the beginning of all this process. So in the moment of Yosef and Binyamin hugging, the Torah said that Yosef put his head, cried on Binyamin's neck, and Binyamin crying on Yosef's neck. And that was very high moment of revelation. And our sages explain why they cried on each other. Sages explain that Yosef cried on the temple that will be in the land of Binyamin, and Binyamin crying on the temple of Shiloh that will be in the land of Yosef. Of course, they're crying about the destruction and how big going to be the struggle. The question is, and it's not a question, but we need to understand what's going on. First of all, let's go into the details of what our sage is saying. Yosef crying on Binyamin's neck. What is this expression? We know crying on his shoulder. What is crying on his neck? So our sage is explaining the neck. Yosef crying on Binyamin's neck because the temple that will be in the place of Binyamin. So the temple is the neck. Jerusalem temple was in the place of Binyamin. It was symbolized to the neck. The same thing about Binyamin crying on Yosef's neck, the temple that will be in Shiloh, that was standing for 369 years. And we need to understand this detail, why the temple was called a neck. I will go straight to the answer. What is a neck? We have the head, we have the body. Neck connecting between the head of the body. If you look the definition of what is a neck, neck is the organ that connecting the head and the body. What is the temple? How the temple, the center of Jewish life, is connection. Is the head himself. The head itself is in the temple. But of course, the answer is obvious. Jerusalem is not, temple is not head. Temple is neck. Why? Because when there is no neck, we have body and head, but there is no connection between them. Jerusalem's temple is about connection. When the Jew came to Jerusalem temple, he was in the most beautiful place in the world. That's why, because Jerusalem temple was where the body coming to the head, the world, the physical world, came and represent himself in its glory of the world, and it was there by the neck, by the temple. And also spirituality came there. The head, that this is God, came to the world, to the body. That's why miracle was there daily. It was about connection. The connection between spirituality, that represented by the head, and the physicality represented by the body, they were connecting in the temple, in the neck. So Jerusalem temple is about connection. Also, our Jewish life is about connection, to connect between spirituality to physicality. Those are two things that can be separated in people's life. And we need to connect between them. We need to know that we have the synagogue or we have our home, that there we're acting in one way, and outside we're acting in a different way, and we need to know that we need to connect them, because spirituality is here to influence physicality, and physicality is here to receive, and not only to receive, to change the spirituality that will come to earth and will become physical. It's about connection. This is the whole purpose of the Jerusalem temple. It's not that we will serve there, it's that we will influence from there, from the temple. We will influence the world, connect spirituality and physicality. This is one detail in this moment that we needed to understand. Another detail that is very interesting: Yosef crying on Binyamin's temple, Binyamin crying on Yosef's temple. Did you saw one person crying about a friend before he crying about himself, or instead of crying about himself? It's not human. How can a person see tragedies and choose to feel the tragedy of the other person? It's not human. You feeling the tragedy of the other person by the feeling of yourself, you cannot skip the feeling, the self feeling, and feel only the other person. It's not human, and it's not normal, and it's not healthy. To feel the other one more than you feel yourself, instead of feeling yourself, it's a bit crazy. How come Yosef crying for Binyamin and Binyamin crying for Yosef? Doesn't make any sense. And the answer is, what is crying? Yosef crying on Binyamin's temple. Binyamin crying on Yosef's temple. What is a crying? Cry. There's a lot of, maybe few uh, types of crying. But true crying is to feel the sorrow, the sadness, the disaster of the other, or of yourself. To feel sad, to cry. I'm feeling sad. There is a cry that a person crying in order to get to action. But this is not true crying. Crying. Yosef crying. And Binyamin crying. Yosef cannot cry about his own temple. Why? Because if you have a problem, you should fix it. You should not cry about that. If the temple will be destroyed in your place, do everything that you can to fix the problem, that the temple will not be destroyed. If Binyamin see that the temples that will be in his place in Jerusalem will be destroyed and it's his responsibility, he should take care of it. He should not cry about that. But if he see the problem in Yosef, he's so sad. He's sad, so he's crying. About himself, he cannot cry. It's not the appropriate reaction. When you see a problem that you can fix it. Don't cry about that. This is not the place of crying. That's why Yosef crying on Binyamin's shoulder and Binyamin crying on Yosef's shoulder, Yosef's neck, crying on the temple, because each person felt the sadness of the other, but he did not escape from trying to do everything he can that it will not happen to him. Shabbat Shalom and good news.